go out there and they'll talk to an agent. The agent will be like, oh, let me put you in a portal, or, blow you off, and you'll think it doesn't work. If you can find, just say, 2 agents that understand what you're doing, and they send you 1 deal a year, that's 2 deals a year you get for free. You can find 10 agents that understand what you're doing. They send you 1 deal a year. That's 10 deals a year you get for free, right? And the way to maximize profitability in your organization is to cut the costs. So anything that's free, it maximizes the profitability, right, in your organization. So when you start to develop those relationships, now most agents that I work with are good for a couple of deals a year, so they're not good for 10 usually, but 2 or 3 or 4. And the other thing about networking that I want to share is when you're going to people and you're going and asking what's in it for me, that's the wrong way to do it. If you're going to people and you're saying, how can I serve you? You're coming from a position of service. Those relationships will be exponential for you. So you go to an agent and not say, can you send me good deals? Go to an agent and say, look, if you have an issue with a seller that has a house and they're a hoarder and they don't want anybody walking through and you can't put on the MLS, I'm your guy or gal. If you have a property that is falling out of escrow and you need somebody who can close quickly, I'm your guy or gal, right? If you come from that, from a position of service, you're going to have a lot of success with them.
Being a solution provider, saving the commission they might lose. So I want to end on this piece with this aspect of this marketing channel. Who are, let's categorize or put in buckets the different people you can network with that are worth their time. So agents, obviously that's yours, right? You might call them bird dogs, right? People that are out like your mailmen, etc. Right. New investors. Are another great place. Who else would you add to that list to spend time networking with?
Well, new investors, established investors, potential private money lenders. You always want to be raising money even when you have more money than you need.
Right, so private money lenders.
A good relationship to have is the customer service rep at the title company. A lot of people don't realize title companies have customer service reps that are responsible for bringing business. They have a lot of free tools for you, especially when you're newer, to help you get some traction. They can provide lists to you for free. They're not as dynamic as some of the lists you pay for, but they're free. They provide free tools for you to go in and pull property searches as far as the history reports or neighborhood reports or even
it would go to my Facebook page and show everybody my stuff. I thought it would just say, hey, we're live.
They can potentially introduce you to
shared my screen
as well. So they're a great source. And then, of course, you want to be networking with, you want to be networking with everybody, right? You want to be telling everybody what you do. To be honest with you, when you ask a few good people, it's like everybody, even your neighbor needs to know what you're doing. And something I want to share, this is a giveaway because this is something that, I heard from somebody, it actually came up in conversation and we kind of hashed it out. But when somebody asks you what you do, it's not, I'm a house flipper or I'm a wholesaler. It's, I help people place money in high performing projects.
Nice. And attention, right? It'll kind of make that person go, okay.
Tell me more. And then you get into maybe they're a private money lender. Maybe there's somebody you can potentially work with that can send you a deal, So make them ask the question and want to know more. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but the whole beginning goes outside the box. It's like, how can I resolve an issue? I have an issue with, I'm trying to make relationships. These people aren't open up to me. So what can I provide in that situation that's a solution that allows me to continue the conversation?
Okay. So if I'm listening to this podcast, Don, right, and I'm like, okay, I'm newer to the game. I love this idea of going out and networking because I have time, not money. If I was coaching with Don Costa, which of these would he tell me maybe to begin with? Because I hear you clearly, should be talking to everyone. But maybe one of these two where you go, I think you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck with this. Is it agents? Is it title companies? Is it new investors? Where would you tell someone to begin?
I would say, the 3 places I would start is other investors in your market, new and established, agents, and the customer service reps from title companies.
Okay, so title companies, agents, and investors, both new and seasoned. Okay, right. Excellent. So let's make this transition. Now we have a good understanding of what you got going on your marketing channels. Let's talk about mastering marketing. We're going to talk about some tactics, call them principles, if you will, just to get, you thinking if you're listening, what I need to understand to get more out of my marketing. So I love this first one. Are you blaming the system or the systems operator? What does this mean? What do you feel like the first thing is here for everyone to understand?
Well, a lot of people will look at a marketing channel and they will say you send out direct mail and you get phone calls, but you haven't converted any deals, or you're doing, cold calling and you're not getting leads, or you're getting leads, you're not converting deals, right? And like I said, for instance, we started cold calling and we weren't getting good leads. We weren't really getting any leads. And I was like, okay, well, Do I decide that cold calling doesn't work, or do I look deeper into the process? As an operator, my job is to make sure that I uncovered every stone before I decide if something works or not. So we realized we were on bad data. We had to adjust the data set. We actually got bad data from our data provider, and it wasn't functional. We had to figure out what data performed the best. So are we answering the calls live? Is our sales process, proper? Is our follow-up process proper? Is my team properly trained to go in and actually ask for the close? We'll look at a marketing channel and just decide that the marketing channel doesn't work. We won't look in the mirror and realize that our process after we pick up the phone is what's broken.
You know what came to me? I feel like what I hear you saying is, rather than ditch it, why don't you dissect it? Right? Because that's what I feel. And I see this a lot. I think it's an important point. I call them bouncers. I see a lot of people, and tell me, Don, if you see this, are so impatient about the results of marketing, which because of that impatience, not really having an understanding of how hard and how much of an expert it takes really to become an expert at a marketing channel. People just kind of wave the white flag. They point at the system and say, this marketing channel doesn't work. And like you said, they're not taking the time to realize and take a look in the mirror that the problem is themselves. So do you see this happening quite a bit in the industry on blaming the wrong thing?
Well, I think
we got some people on. Hey, how's it going?
Deflect.
I'll turn that off. It was just weird being on here all by myself. Let's see. Mute people upon entry. I'll do that later because last time I had somebody like talking, and then I had somebody annotating on the screen during the meeting. Play, enter, exit. Yeah, why would you turn that off? That's why I didn't know y'all were here. It didn't chime like ding, somebody's here. All right. Well, I guess here we go. I can unmute people later at the end, and y'all can ask questions. Allow participants to oh, wait, no. Do not allow people to unmute. Okay. And let's turn the exit chime off. Okay. All right, and then let's see. Let me get I'll present, and then we'll get the chat box. Because I'd rather answer chat questions like when they come up or as they pertain. Okay, and make sure you're doing it to everybody, and you're not privately sending it to somebody because it won't get to me. All right, so there we go. Virtual Wholesaling 101. We're going to be talking about how to close on wholesale deals. I'm Mike the Wholesaler, and this is my contact info. You can find me on social media, Mike the Wholesaler. I am now on TikTok. I have a TikTok, which is cool. You should follow me on there so that I think you have to have like 1,000 people following you to go live. So that'll be cool. I don't know why they put a stipulation on that, but yeah, TikTok is awesome. Coaching at the Wealth U is my email. There's my number. You can call or text me. There's the website. And then if you are not, what happened? Okay. There we go. And if you are not a member of the RIA, I'm going to copy this. So I used to have bandit signs. Oh, it's being slow on me. I used to have bandit signs that were Magic Mike buys houses on them .com, and so people would go to the website, and I ended up getting the name Magic Mike, and I would teach people how to wholesale houses automatically. So that's why it says Magic Mike there. And I kind of do look like Channing Tatum a little bit. You know what I mean? Golly, my own wife, man, the look she gave me. You could pretend. Golly, that hurts. Okay, back to percent. Okay, so I put the link to join the South Atlanta RIA. There, we are a super group of the South Atlanta RIA, not a subgroup. We're a super group. They should be now a national group or nationwide. So that's awesome. I was on a call with like people from California and a whole bunch of other states other than Georgia. But it's $25 a month. Unlike most RIAs, it's like usually most RIAs is like you pay like $200 or $300 a year up front. This one you can cancel anytime. You can get your own affiliate link and sell people on the RIA as well. But the whole point for the RIA is to teach people. So like you can come to this group, you can come to other groups, you get a discount on trainings. You can't really go to college to be a real estate investor. So that's what a RIA is. It's the South Atlanta Real Estate Investors Association. So you join in, you learn about real estate and wholesaling and a whole bunch of other strategies like you can rehab, you can short sale, you can get houses subject to, all that cool stuff. And there's a $40 plan, which will give you access to all the other members. So anybody in there, when you make an account, you have your buying criteria. Like I'm looking for 3 2s. I want to fix them up. I want them in this zip code. I don't want them on this street. I want them in this school district, that kind of thing. So you can go in there and basically just add that to your buyers list. So if you ever end up getting a deal, that's the first thing I would do is I would upgrade to that $40 a month plan and then get access to all those people and then just scroll through there and see who has who wants property in that zip code that you've got a deal in and sell it to them. And then I think that's it about me. I'm married to an amazing, beautiful, shy wife. I have 2 crazy kids. You're probably going to hear them on here. There they are. This is Noah, and this is Lincoln. Noah just turned 7, and Lincoln is 5. And they're sold. There they are again. I collect monopolies. I'm the wholesaling supergroup leader of the South Atlanta RIA. I won Teacher of the Year in 2018, and I coach people on how to quit their jobs by replacing their income with their own income. Homework check. So for last month, it was to market your deals. Okay. So sell your deal. If you don't have a deal, ask another wholesaler if they have any deals that you can market for them, and make sure that when you market their deal, you market it at the same price they have it at, and then you split the profit. So if they've got it at 40 with the seller and they want to sell it for 50, you market it for 50. That way, when you go around and you sell it, people don't think you're some daisy chain. All right. And then you make sure you get your name or your LLC or your business name on the assignment. And then you leave another line for the wholesaler who actually has the deal to sign on there as well. And when you go to the closing, whoever is on that as an assignor, they will split that equally. If there's 3 people, they'll split it 3 ways. I wouldn't do any sort of like document like a wholesaling partnership thing. You can if you want, but if you are the one with the deal and you sign a document like that with somebody, even if you find the buyer, you then have to split the profit with them because you signed a document saying you split the profit with them. It gets sort of iffy if you want to add if I find the buyer, because how do you prove any of that? Market it for them. Don't post ghost ads. A ghost ad is an ad where you put out like I've got a 3-2 brick house, selling it for $20,000, needs $5,000 in repairs. ARV is $2 million, right? Like People will call and say, hey, I want access to this deal. And you'll say, oh, I just sold it. And really, people will hang up on you. You know, even if I have a deal that I've just sold, I will not say I just sold it. I'll get their email, I'll send them pics, and then later on I'll tell them it's sold, because just about the amount of how many people do ghost ads is ridiculous. All right. Closing on your wholesale deals. Let me move this chat window out of the way. Assignment agreement. All right. The contract that sells your purchase agreement to the cash buyer. All right. So you're not selling, we talked about this last month, but you're not selling the house, you're selling the contract. And the way you sell that contract is through an assignment. You get a $2,000 to $5,000 non-refundable earnest money. You get that made out to you. If they don't want to do that, you get it made out to the title company. All right. And it's made out to you or the title company. If the buyer needs it, that's fine. They'll hold it. They'll make sure that the funds are there. They'll actually cash that check and then hold the funds. And that's what's called escrow. So when somebody says, hey, we need to open escrow, escrow is the account at the title company where they hold those funds. So you make sure that the cash buyer actually has the funds. If they default on the deal, you get to keep that money. So you could consider it a wholesale deal, a small wholesale deal, even if you know, the cash buyer backs out, because you get to keep that money. If the buyer backs out, you can keep the money, though that rarely happens. If they're going to put 2 to 5 down on it, they're going to follow through and close on that deal. If you need a copy of the assignment, you can probably Google and find one. I do have one that I use, but I can't give it away because I sell it as part of the South Atlanta RIA. It's a 12-week online wholesaling course. I want to say it's on their Black Friday sale page. But you get the assignment, you get the purchase agreement, and you get my spreadsheet deal analyzer, where you plug in stuff and find out the value of the deal. Or you can ask a closing attorney for one. They might be able to give you one. So the process: you purchase the agreement with the seller. You gain rights to purchase the property, and then you assign on the assignment agreement to the cash buyer. Just sign the assignment agreement. What now? All right, so your to-do list. All right, collect the non-refundable earnest money, scan the agreements, and get them to the closing attorney, and then stop marketing the deal. So you want to scan the agreements now. So a lot of people ask me, like, you know, I just got this under contract, so I send this contract to the closing attorney, and I say no. Because if you send that agreement to the closing attorney, they're going to run title, and that's like $200. And you're going to have to pay that if the buyer backs out. So you wait till you have the purchase agreement and the assignment agreement. You take both of those and you send them to the closing attorney. Wait until you got, you know, it's a done deal. All right. They're not really a sucker, but that's just the only check image I could find. But you got to get that non-refundable earnest money, and it's not a down payment. Don't call it a down payment. It ensures they'll close on it. They are less likely to be a wholesaler who will try to wholesale it again. And I say less likely because I just did a deal in Noonan, and we did that. We got $1,500 earnest money, and it was weird. So the guy didn't sign the assignment agreement himself. He downloaded it as a PDF and then uploaded it to his DocuSign, and then had his buyer sign it and then sent that to us. And so it was weird because right now we do all our documents within the CRM, REI Simple. And so it was weird. I was like, why is this document not coming back? And checked my email, and it was in there. So he paid the earnest money, or his buyer did, and then he's wholesaling it to somebody else. So really weird. So less likely. Wholesalers will still pay earnest money and they will close on a property and probably double close, especially here in Atlanta, in Georgia. Daisy chains are everywhere. So continue to market the deal until you get the check or the closing attorney tells you that they have it and that they have checked the account, verified the funds, or cashed it. All right, stop marketing the deal. The agreements. Wait until you have both the assignment and the purchase agreement to send to the closing attorney, and you're going to want to either fax them, and yeah, closing attorneys still do faxing. So get their faxing number. I use Chalker and Chalker. You could use the closing attorney on the South Atlanta RIA, or just ask other people who they use for a closing attorney. But what I do is I scan them, or I just take a picture with my phone. I just put it on the table, and I just take my phone and scan a picture, and I email that to them. If you send it to the attorney, they'll run title. If you're unable to find a buyer, you'll have to pay him or them for running the title. Include the seller and buyer's info. The worst thing for me is having the closing attorney call and email me about, I need the seller to do this and do that. Just give them the buyer and seller's contact info, email, phone number, and just let them do all the, who's got to show up when and sign what. Later on, when you start doing a bunch of deals, you can hire a person just to be the coordinator for that kind of stuff. Closing coordinator. Call the closing attorney after you send them the documents, let them know, and make sure you do it on like a Monday or a weekday. You don't want to send them an email on a Saturday or Sunday while they're getting other emails and spam emails, and you want it to be at the top of their thing. So when you call them, you say, hey, I just sent you an email, just got a deal, let's get the title going, open escrow, and get everything started. Stop selling deal. Take it off all your sites if you have it. Whatever you're selling it on, take it off of, and do not sell on Zillow, because if you put it on Zillow, all the seller has to do is Google search the address, and they'll find it, and they'll see how much you're making. And they may not show up to the closing, and you need them to show up to the closing. So take it off all your sites. Stop selling it. All right. Wait until you have both. Why is this copied over? To the attorney, closing attorney after you send them. You can scan them at any office store, Office Max, Office Depot, Kinko's, whatever. If they need to have it faxed and you don't have a fax, and they don't want you to just take a picture. All right. Market sold on Facebook, so take it off Facebook as well. You can even put one of those little stickers on there that says just sold. Don't edit a sold sign in the yard. Well, you shouldn't have any signs in the yard anyway. All right, so the buyer backs out. Remarket the deal if there's more than 10 days left on your due diligence, or if the closing date is 10 days out, remarket it on there. Okay. If you can't, then I would just take the earnest money and consider it a done deal. You've done that wholesale deal. Kind of feels a little not as forget what the word is, but anticlimactic, but I would still consider that doing your first wholesale deal. If there's not enough time, email and text the seller that the property doesn't meet your business partner's approval. You should have that on your assignment agreement, and that's on the assignment agreements that you get in my course on the South Atlanta RIA. And you want an email and you want a text because you want there to be a written proof that you have contacted them and walked away from the deal. Because it's really bad if you just call them and tell them, and like say they decide to take you to court or anything like that, you have no proof of what was said on the phone call. And don't stress out. It's fine. All right. Everything in your contract allows you to back out. It's got all the weasel back out clauses, whatever you want to call them. You're good. You just back out. The biggest thing that stressed me out when I was getting started was, what if I actually have to buy this property and I can't? You've got enough stuff in there to where you can just, you back out. The agreements have got you. You're good. Hand the deal off to another wholesaler and see if they can get it at a lower price. So that's another thing. If if you're already losing the deal anyway, I tell my students that if you're losing the deal anyway, just try and see if you can save it. Try anything, and if not, then you can pass it off to another wholesaler. And the reason for that is that the seller has a bad experience with you, but if they meet somebody else, that other person can just throw you under the bus, get the deal, and then maybe find a new buyer. Just hit them up from that different perspective. So if they're stressed out over you not being able to sell their deal, least you can do is find another wholesaler who can. And I would say if that wholesaler steals that deal from you and doesn't include you in the profit, put them on blast, let everybody know. I would rather find out now if a person is going to do something like that on like a small deal that I'm going to lose anyway, because you don't want to be working with this person or anybody later on on a big deal and then find out that they're going to steal it from you. So test your buddy, find a wholesaler, see if they can sell it for you. And if they cut you out of the deal, mark them off your friends list. All right. And then move on to the next deal. So they can start marketing for the next one. And because you don't want to spend so much time on this one deal trying to get it to close. And if it doesn't end up closing, you've wasted all that time. All right. This is Josh Rand with the South Atlanta RIA. They are a vendor. He's also a probate attorney, or he specializes in probates. Josh Rand, and I think he's got the same name as that superhero, the Fist. So the closing, make sure the attorney doesn't put the assignment fee on the HUD. This year, they just passed a law that separates the two. So the seller gets their own HUD, the buyer gets their own HUD. If the attorney isn't separating those two, then they are not currently doing what the laws are saying to do, because the seller agreement is just going to have what they're getting, and the buyer agreement is only going to have what the buyer's getting. So the fee that the buyer is paying you isn't going to be on the seller HUD. And even if it is, it's no sweat. I had a closing where the guy, a student of mine, closed on a house, and he brought me in to find the buyer. And so we were splitting it like a typical co-wholesale deal. I found the buyer, he found the seller, and we get in there, and this dude looked like Machine Gun Kelly. I mean, he had teardrops and spider webs and stuff up here on his forehead too, tattoos everywhere. And the closing attorney, comes in, looked like Doug Dimmadome. I mean, he got the 2 strings, no tie, just 2 little strings, a big old hat, like Doug Dimmadome. And he comes in, he starts reading all the lines off. This is this fee, this is prorated taxes, this is this. He comes down to, this is the assignment fee, $8,000. This is this, and I'm like sweating, like Key or Jordan Peele, and I'm sitting there sweating bullets. And he just went by it, and the seller didn't even know what assignment fee was. So it's not. They might not pick up on like that fee is going to you. They didn't even know why we were there. Really, we found the deal. We contacted with the seller. The buyer was even there. And the seller didn't care. All he cared about was that one line where it said, "Hey, this is how much you're getting," and he was getting $16,000. And later on, we had to go to the property to get some dogs out. He wasn't feeding the dogs, and so then we looked up his court records, because my wife is like excellent at skip tracing people, and so we looked it up, and we found out that he went to prison, and his what do you call it? The bail was $18,000. So all that money we gave him, he ended up losing it, went to jail. All he had to do was just buy some dog food and feed some dogs. Like, Such a horrible person. You get all that money and just do that to some helpless animal. The attorney will let everyone know when it is and what to do, what to bring. Wear nice stuff like a suit. This is going to be, your closing. You got to be professional. And if this is your first time doing a closing, go to it. Later on, you could probably have it just wired into your account. This last one I did, which is the first deal one of my cold callers did. We split the profit. We showed up. It was in Noonan. We signed all the agreements. The closing attorney and the whole title company was just really horrible and really bad. And so we didn't even show up to closing. And we just sent them our wire info, and it just got wired over to us. All right. If not, then I would only go to ones if the seller is getting 100,000 or more. So this one, I think the seller was getting like, after they paid off a lien, they were probably getting like 4,000. So it was pointless. But if they're getting 100,000 or more, ask them after they get that check or the wire, or they get done signing the documents at the closing. You say, hey, what are you planning on doing with the money? They may say, putting my kids through college, paying off debt, or they may say, well, I want to, get into some other houses, some other real estate, in a nicer part of town, or I want to buy a house, to live in, while we're renting right now. And so then you can turn them into a cash buyer, which is great, because when you pull a list of cash buyers have spent cash on a house and may or may not have cash left over, but they're in the system and everybody can market to them. You have now found, if they do get a lot of cash, 100,000 or more, you would have now found a person who is a cash buyer, but isn't in the system. All right. So it's an exclusive buyer to you. And then get a testimonial from the seller afterward. And then you can put that on your website. All right. So the other way you can do is you can get funding. I'm doing funding now. You can close on the deal yourself. You can then list it. There is a bunch of great realtors with the South Atlanta RIA where you can pay, I think, like $500 or $400 and just flat out list it with no extra fees on the end. But then, you probably put it on there as a fixer-upper or a investor special. So you can double close on it, and that way the cash buyer won't see how much you're making. So we talked about assignment, but double closing is a little different. So you actually close on the property, you then own it. I would get an LLC for $99 at the Secretary of State. You can pay another $100 to rush it, so it gets made in like 2 weeks. Purchase the property in that with the funding in that LLC, and then you can turn around and take that LLC, because when you assign it and you're making more than $10,000, the buyer may say, you don't want them to see how much you're making, and a lot of people don't like paying $20,000 assignment fees. So if you're making more than 10, you could double close on it, get the funding, buy the property in the LLC. You get it for $40,000. You can turn around and sell it for like $60,000 or $70,000, and they have no idea what you bought it for. Do your first or next rehab so you can get the funding and do the rehabbing. I like the funding because I can give it to I can turn any cash buyer or any buyer wannabe into a cash buyer. And then call or text me and just let me know that you need funding, and I'll have my contact info later on. All right, and then you celebrate. I like to celebrate going to hibachi. I can't do that anymore. We just started. You can now get it, I think, on DoorDash. You can get hibachi, but it's just not as good. It doesn't taste the same. But I'm high risk. One of my lungs collapsed in high school, so if I get this virus that's going around, I'm not going to survive it. I wouldn't even survive the flu. So it's really bad. Since I'm high risk, I got to do everything virtual. But if you are able to, go out and celebrate, treat yourself nice. You deserve it, and then repeat. Whatever niche or strategy you did on that deal, Make that your thing. If you got an expired listing, jump into expired listings. Take as much of that money you just made, put it back into finding more expired listings or evictions or whatever. If it was a mobile home, you are now the mobile home person. I think we got another Mike, that's a super group leader, and he's mobile home Mike, and he's out here in Douglasville too, where I'm at. But whatever your niche is, like condos, whatever, driving for deals, if however you got that deal, repeat that whole process. Because if it worked then, it'll work again. The biggest thing I see from people when they tell me, like, I did a deal, but now, they're not just coming in as much as they were. The big factor is that they're trying to do this other strategy. I'm trying to do probates. I'm trying to do short sales or listed properties. And it's like, well, how did you first get one? I just drove around and found one. Well, do that. All right. Vacant properties. Let me show you batch driven. Oh, so this is I'll show you that later. All right. So here are my predictions for 2021. Foreclosures are going to skyrocket. The moratorium on foreclosures is lifted on January 1st, and it is just like 2007 again. I'm thinking it's going to be just like the market crash. There's going to be so many foreclosures. They're all going to be going in. I'm predicting that Biden is going to take office on January 20th. And so I think Trump is going to be, try to stay in as long as he can. And he's going to come to the 20th. He's going to get kicked out, and then Biden's going to come in. So that first 20 days means that, I don't think Trump's going to do anything about foreclosures. I just don't think I don't think it's one of his big things that he cares about. So those are going to go to the auction. I'm going to say call those people, help them. If you need help calling them, I'll jump on the deal with you and we'll split it. There's going to be so many deals. It's going to be hard to tell which ones are worth it. But just help those people. All right. And then also the moratorium on evictions is also going to be lifted. And I'm thinking 70% of people are going to get kicked out. Right now, they're finding you cannot evict a tenant based on non-rent payment, on not paying the rent. And the way that they're getting around this whole thing is that they are saying that they're evicting the tenant for other things, like running a home-based business. Can't run a home-based business in the lease, but there's coronavirus. So it's like, where are you going to run your business? You can't go to that co-working space. You've got to quarantine and stay at home. So, and they're still evicting them because a lot of sellers are telling me, hey, I'm evicting this person in a week or 2 weeks or 3 days before Christmas even, which is just insane. So people are still getting kicked out, but on January 1st, everybody who hasn't paid is going to get kicked out. And what a lot of people aren't realizing is that when you don't pay your rent, a lot of the homeowners or the landlords, some of them are not really investors. They moved out, kept the house. The rent is usually right at what the mortgage is. And so if you don't pay them, the landlord, the rent, they are unable to pay for the mortgage, and then it goes to the foreclosure. So a lot of the tenants are really screwing themselves over. Well, a lot of them don't even have the cash in the first place, because people are losing their jobs, unemployment is high. So I would cold call evictions and absentee owners, just blanket everybody, and then help the tenants find a new place. I've got realtors if you need them to help them find a new place to go to. And it's going to be crazy because the same people that are going to get evicted are then going to go to the other houses that had tenants evicted, and they're going to try to move in there. Like you know what I mean? It's going to be chaos. So we're just going to try and help as many people as we can, and make some money in the meantime. All right, so 2021, Biden takes office on January 20th. I'm thinking he's going to appoint Bernie to the Department of Labor. He's already said that he's going to do that. Bernie, one of his policies was to push for a 25% tax on house flipping. So if you buy a house and you don't live in it, when you go to sell it 30 or more days later, there's a 25% tax on the profit. Not sure how to get around that right now, but I'm working on that. And that's even if, and then Bernie's going to be the Department of Labor. So he's not the Department of, or the Housing and Urban Development, whatever that department is called. But I'm sure he's going to try and push that 25% tax on house flipping still. And then he's going to push for owner occupants to have the first right to purchase houses over investors. So similar to a HUD house, the owner occupant has first dibs like a whole week ahead of time before investors get to make offers. And the reason for that is because they want actual people moving into these houses and not people who have a bunch of money, which makes sense. And then no matter what, wholesaling will find a way. We'll find a way around it. We found a way around Dodd-Frank. We found a way around seasoning on bank-owned properties, all that. You know, whatever it is, we'll find a way. Don't worry about it. And then the people who aren't dedicated and don't really hate their job and want to quit their job are going to keep working at their job. And the people who aren't really investors are going to drop off. And it's going to be easier for the rest of us. You now have the knowledge to do deals. Here's my contact info if you need to contact me. And here is your homework. Close on your first deal. And then, I do coaching. So you can use the word thankful to get $400 off the first month of coaching. Apply at one-on-one with Magic Mike. Or you can go to thewealthuniversity.com. Off topic, which app do you use or recommend to do text blast to your buyers list? So I was going to say REI Simple, which is what I texted everybody out today. That's the current CRM that I use. But I found this one, Batch Driven, a couple days ago. I am on the free trial. Let me see if I can get around this little window. Okay. Batch Driven here. And so this does texting. It doesn't do calls yet. For text blasts, you can really use, there's so many that do text blasting. Callfire is one that does text blasts, and I think you get a discount from the South Atlanta RIA for that one. But Batch Driven here is $50 a month, and it does virtual driving for dollars. It does everything that Deal Machine does with the addition of texting. And then they are getting calling pretty soon in a couple of weeks. So you'll be able to make calls. I can set up pre-made text campaigns. So if they don't respond within like a week or 2 days later, I can have it text them back, hey, are you still interested in selling? Without me doing anything. And then it does everything that REI Simple does as far as texting. Like, so I can send a text. I've got this one here. Driving for deals. We need to talk to you about your property at, and then you've got these little things down here where you can put in their name, my name, their name, the owner name, property address. But I like to keep it vague, not like they don't know what I'm doing. So they're more likely to respond. We need to talk to you. We need to talk to you about your property at blank or at 123 Main Street. And so I can save that template, and then I've got a campaign. I've got to start a campaign. So I'll start a campaign, and I've got a bunch of leads in here that I don't want you all to see. And then you can get cash buyers and everything. So you can either import your list of cash buyers, or you can set up like a boundary. And there. All right. So uh, I'm still in the trial, so I don't have access to all these other to cash buyers. All I've got is vacant um, and a couple of things. But when you upgrade to I think that's 120, you get all the rest of it. No properties found. Eh. Oh, because I got to do another boundary. But yeah, so I would use this to text people. It's batch skip tracing. So the second you find somebody, you can skip trace them. Uh, the buyer or the seller, and it's batch skip tracing, so it's good skip tracing. And then you can text them all from the same platform. So you see this up here. I've got Deal Machine. Deal Machine is for me $200 a month, and that's my driving for deals, mailing, and all that. And that's it. All it does. Yeah. Oh, and then Deal Finders. So you can text out a link to people, and they can download the app, and all they got to do is take a picture, send you the deal. And then I got RAS Simple, which is another $200 a month. And that's my CRM, calling, texting. I put properties in there, and then it does comps. And then I've got PropStream, which is $130 a month. And this is just a list provider. So you can look up properties if they're on the MLS, that kind of thing. And then I've got Lead Sherpa, which is my skip tracing. I think it's like 15 cents a skip. And it's really good. I mean, I like Lead Sherpa. And it also does IP addresses. So it'll find their IP address, that kind of thing. But Batch Driven does all of that. When Batch Driven gets phone calling at the end of this month, I can get rid of REI Simple. I can right now get rid of Deal Machine. The only thing from Deal Machine that it doesn't do is you can't send out a link and add deal finders. So the biggest problem with deal finders is like you got to tell them, hey, send me addresses, send me the address or a picture of the property, and I'll take the deal and I'll add it, and then you've got to remember that it's that person. So you've got to put in your notes like this property was found by this person and their contact info. Because if you want to pay them for it, Deal Machine has a link that I can send out to people, and on that page they'll sign up. It'll even have videos on look for grass growing up, look for vacant properties, that big wad of newspaper in the front driveway. It doesn't do that yet on Batch Driven, but look at this. I think it's in help. Y'all got to see this. This is insane. Okay, right here. Suggest a feature. You click on that and you go here, and this is insane. Like any website I'm having is going to have this on it. Like this is so you see all these people are suggesting stuff, and then you go in and you can upvote on it. So add probate data, and you can go, you see I voted on this one. And so the developers go in here and you can see under consideration, this one's done, this one's planned. So you can, and I made this suggestion, like do it like Deal Machine, and people are going to upvote it, no doubt, because the ability to have people text in. So as soon as that happens, I'm getting rid of Deal Machine, and then I'm going to upgrade this plan to $200 a month. So for $200 a month, I get Deal Machine, I get the $200 REI Simple, I get the 130 PropStream. I mean, it's just awesome. Yeah, dude, it's insane. Like, and I think it just came out too, Batch Driven. But and then look at this. You can go virtually driving for deals. Let me show you this. It might drag it out. Wait, I gotta exit out of this. So if I zoom in somewhere, I'm gonna right click and then go to Street View. All right. So let's say this house, well, let me look for another one. Let's say this house is vacant, or I'm driving. So I'm at home now, and now I'm virtually driving down this street. Like, look at this. No gas. The only thing I'm paying for is internet. You know, it's not cold. You know, I'm at home. I could be in, you know, my pajamas right now, and I'm driving for deals. And then oh, it's a little slow now. All right, and then so yeah, see this guy sitting on the front porch. I click on this little blip. It says his absentee owner. There's his information. I can add that property. Boom. I just drove for deals on Google Street View, and you can click up here and see it on Google Maps. You can pay $20 a month, and it will take the Google Street image here and get rid of all the extra like Google stuff and those little blips, and it will put the picture here, and you can then send them a postcard or a letter, just like Deal Machine. And then you can send them SMS. You can skip trace them. Skip trace them. Let's see. I don't know. Y'all can have this deal if you want. I don't mind. So let's see. Did we skip trace him? Did we find nothing on him? Okay, let's see. Property details. All right. We didn't skip trace this guy, or maybe he's hard to skip trace. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one then. Let's go on down here and see. Do y'all have any questions? Like, I mean, I don't want to go super into this. I'm just really excited about it. But if y'all have any other questions, does anybody have any other deals? I'll let you unmute, and you can come on and talk about your deal or that you're selling. Or if you're a cash buyer and you're looking for deals, you come on, I'll unmute you. And somebody from that area can get your information and send you stuff. Absentee owner. Let's add this one. So let's see if we can skip trace this guy. No, man. Maybe I don't have, do I have credits? See, buy credits. 270 credits. Wow. Yeah, so here's the plan there. Don't worry about my card. You know, so this is a privacy card. So I don't mind. I can set how much money comes out of it. Can I change the plan? Okay. Oh, all right. So 119 is the performance, and the performance plus. I say you really only need this one because if you look at this plan, it doesn't come with the equity filter or pre-foreclosures, tax delinquents. You don't get any of the other stuff. And then here's what you pay for all of this stuff. It's just $1 for each phone number. Like I'm paying $5 or $4 on RES Simple. And then you have real-time driving routes. So it tracks your routes. Like up here, when you hit this, it's tracking your route as you're going. And the real-time driving routes is where I can see like all my team members, if they're going driving for deals, I can see all of their routes. And when the route gets, I think 2 months old, it turns yellow. And then when it gets 6 months old, it turns red, meaning you got to drive that route again. And so you can see where everybody's driving, and it'll put the routes on the same map. And then of course, Google Street Pick is, you got to do that. So also I get 10 skip traces for this one. And then I would go with this one. I'm gonna upgrade. And I get 3 users, which I got 3 cold callers now. The rest of them dropped off. And then you get a discount. Yeah. Dude, I'm in love. I don't know why it's not skip tracing people. But yeah. And then you got messages here. Driving routes, the campaigns, mail campaign. So I can mail, I can text. The only thing I can't do is call, but that's coming. Oh man. And two, I got my guy Terrell. He's testing this one out for me. So he's gonna log in and text people because he hates calling people. He said he calls somebody, and I'm gonna call him out, but he's like, man, my heart be pumping, like I'm so scared, and I don't even know what that's like. Like I'll talk to a wrong number, for hours, all day. But this is the perfect thing for him because it's just texting people. And then I found a place in here where you can call forwarding. So data management, is it? Oh, no. It's on phone numbers. Is it here? Somewhere it was you could put in a forwarding number, phone manager. Here we go, call forward. So yeah. So if somebody calls one of my textable numbers, like you can text that number right there. And if you want to text it right now, it'll come right to me, or right inside of here. And then if you call it, it'll go to that number, which is, this number. So you can still do phone calls. It's just not going to be tracked, and you're not going to have a bunch of different numbers. Like in REI Simple, I've got a number for foreclosures from April, foreclosures from March. So when somebody actually finally does a deal, I know where it came from, because I just did a deal that was in, or the deal I've got now that's a short sale that I'm working on. The guy actually came in off of the April foreclosures. And he cussed out the cold caller. Tasha called him and was like, hey, we're interested in buying this house. And he was like, blanky blank blank you, blank out of my life, leave me alone. And then 6 months later, I emailed him through REI Simple, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. Completely turned around. So maybe texting and emailing people is, certain people, yeah, cold calling, but, if you're somebody that's an introvert, like somebody I know, you're not going to pick up that number, especially if it's a number that's not programmed into your phone. Oh, my contact info. There you go. Oh, they're my kids. All right, man. So y'all don't have any questions? Like, do y'all want to unmute and have y'all done a deal last month? Like, you want to tell everybody about this deal you did or anything? Come on, don't be shy. You can put it in the chat, if you don't want to unmute or anything like that. Okay, all right, this is great. I'm glad, yeah. And so this is curriculum that I've made. And by the way, I'm taking all of my coaching and I'm putting batch driven, and I'm going to change up my whole curriculum and make that. I'm going to teach people how to use batch driven. I'm going to be the batch driven expert. Angela Davenport, that I won Teacher of the Year in 2018 with, she called me Professor Podio, or Podio Professor, because I was teaching everybody how to use Podio, but now it's going to be batch driven. And then, so my curriculum for the whole year is the 12-week course, the wholesaling course. That is a direct copy of my 12-month stuff on here. So this month I did closing deals, and I'll show you here. So it's this curriculum. So it's the 12 steps to doing a wholesale deal. All right, it's thinking. So it's this right here. So it's getting started and mindset, and then it's building your CRM, comping, how to comp properties, how to drive for deals, how to set up your call center and phone skills, how to do direct mail, how to do social media marketing, how to do online and offline signs, how to negotiate, and then how to manage and hire virtual assistants, and then marketing your deals. And then, of course, this month is wholesaling your deals. So it's that same curriculum. So in January, that's what I'm going to be covering. Brand new to this, just soaking up as much as I can. Yeah, it's good to soak up, but you got to give yourself a limit. Like, it could be like the day after Christmas or January 2nd. You got to set a finite date for you to get started, because you'll get into this analysis and working out the best plan, but just do it. And you know, it's like if you need somebody to fall back on me. You know, do that trust fall. I'm here. I got you. I'm gonna have my hands out. If a seller says, "Hey, I'm ready to go, do a deal," and you don't know what to do, give me a call, give me a text, let me know. You can unmute me. Oh, can you not unmute yourself? Okay. Uh, oh, you have the course already. Okay. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great, great. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I have the course already. I'm just starting to dig into it. I'm really wanting to well, what I have been doing is I have been wholesale deals like you were talking about earlier. So
Mhm.
I get, just through networking that I've done over the past few years or online resources that I use, I've got a lot of wholesalers that send me stuff to my email on a daily basis, and I have my buyers list, and so I just turn around and mark that stuff up and send it out to my buyers list, and when the deal closes, I get paid my whatever I call it, my marketing fee. But it's been fantastic. I mean, it's been crazy how good it has been, especially during this pandemic. And I've been doing it all virtually.
Yeah.
So, but in the new year, in addition to doing that, because I want to keep doing that, and I'm only working on Georgia and Florida right now, but I want to expand that nation, well, at least to, let's say, another 10 states or so, and
Mhm.
keep that working on one side. But on the other side, I want to set up a wholesaling business, so I'm getting my own deals, because if I could be bringing in my own deals to these buyers, obviously I could make more, instead of just marking it up, say 3%, I
Oh,
could do 10 grand on a deal potentially, right?
these are not your deals that you're wholesaling?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
These are,
wow.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm just reselling stuff that people are, other wholesalers already have
Oh,
under
okay. So you're
contract.
wholesaling. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm kind of daisy chaining, but I'm usually direct to the wholesaler that
Yeah.
has the contract. So it's not like I'm buying it and then reselling it. I'm really just adding a marketing fee on top of their asking price, so that I get paid, or I'll do a marketing fee agreement with them so that they'll pay me at the closing table. And the bank will, the attorney will just wire me the funds. So I mean, it's been working crazy well since probably May. I've done probably about 25 of them.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Congratulations.
thank you. So I mean, I'm very happy with it, and obviously, I could definitely support myself just continuing to do that. But I'm like, hey, if I can do that with a couple of states, what could I do if I was doing it the same thing nationwide, right? So on the one hand, I want to keep doing that, like I said, on the side. But on the other side, I want to start a division, if you would, um, like yours, which is me finding my own deals, and hiring somebody to kind of, I want to be more hands off, but I mean, I want to learn everything at the same time as they are, because obviously I got to watch what everybody else is doing. But
Mm.
um, I'm really wanting to know how to set my office up and how much I should be paying people. Like, I have this one girl, she doesn't want to do any of the cold calling or anything. She just wants to be an admin, so she could be overseeing the marketing pieces of it, the sending out the text. That's what I was asking you about, or, sending out mail pieces or whatever. And then I have another friend who has been a telemarketer her whole life. So I'm going to hopefully get her to do the acquisition piece. And then I'm not sure what else I need, or who else I need, or how much I should be paying these people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I
So
was wondering if you could give me any insight into how you've set up. Maybe it's in the course, and I'll get to it at some point. But I want to definitely go through it before January hits, because that's when I want to start, finding my own deals.
okay. So the only thing in the course about hiring people is with the virtual assistants. So
Uh-huh.
a lot of the curriculum is based towards the new person who hasn't done maybe one or two deals yet. So
Right.
that's something that I could go into that's a little bit more intermediate. Like you've already done some deals, You now need to know
Right.
how to pay people. So right now,
Yeah.
what I did with a couple months ago, or right when the pandemic started, I put out to all my wholesalers, I texted everybody else that, hey, I need cold callers. And so each person would come in to my CRM. I'd give them an account. They would have their own phone number, and I would track that to their campaign. And then I would give them a list of in their area. I would pull vacant or absentee owner lists, and I would upload that, and they could only see that list, and then they would cold call out to it.
Right.
But then when we close on a deal, we would split that profit on the deal with the cold caller.
Like a
I don't know if that's what
50-50
you,
split, or what
yeah,
kind of a split
50-50
would you do?
split.
Okay.
Um,
And
uh,
they were cool with that?
yeah, they're cool with that. So this last one we did, it was she did her first deal, which was 3,000. We split it 1,500
Right.
evenly. But the guy in my mastermind, Chris, what he does is he pays somebody like whatever the going rate is, like 14 or 15 an hour locally, and then
Uh-huh.
pays them a bonus every time a deal comes through. And I think the bonus is like 10% of the deal,
Okay.
depending on what he does. Now he's a rehabber, um, and this person is part-time, and they come into his office. Um,
Okay.
and there's two things you got to think about. There's local people, and then there's
Right.
virtual people. So I really like virtual people, like from the Philippines, because uh, no offense, but somebody like an American, just like myself,
Mm-hmm.
isn't really going to do a whole lot of work. But somebody from the Philippines, I mean, they'll run circles around us.
Really?
Kind of stuff that they do. I mean, and it's
Okay.
insane. And the other
And
thing is,
it doesn't affect your prospects when somebody from the Philippines, they don't discriminate that, hey, this
oh,
is the can
they don't
they
know.
can they can't tell that it's somebody from the Philippines,
No, yeah.
just from
I mean,
the
so
Filipino accents, or their accent is so good they
there's
sound American?
yeah, so there's a little bit of the accent, but like you can Zoom call when you're onboarding the prospect and see
Right.
how their accent is. But so in I think it was October, I did the webinar here on the Saturday about VAs, and I looked up
Right.
the dialects over there in the Philippines, and one of the dialects is English. So
Really?
they're literally speaking English to each other in a certain part of on a side of Manila, which is the big city
Uh-huh.
over there, to each other. So yeah, you can't even notice the accent. The only time I think the one thing they struggle with is the ooh sound, like the noodle.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Hmm.
but that's about it, and
That's
that's
not a big deal.
rarely going to come up, unless it's
Okay.
you live on Noodle Street. Um,
Right.
but
I'm
yeah,
cool
I've
with
used
that.
them, and uh, I use one
Yeah.
for admin, and then I use one for pulling a list, and then I use the cold callers as the actual cold calling side. And then of course they also text people, so they cold call, and then if they don't pick up, they send a text, uh,
Okay.
and that's how that goes. And then they move on to the next person. Um,
Okay. And do you use a dialer like Mojo Dialer, or?
no, no, no. So I use RES Simple, and I do everything in there. I try to do as much as I can within the CRM, because you
Uh-huh.
don't want to be going back between these other programs. But if Mojo Dialer works, have it work for you, and then I think you can use Zapier to, so
Uh-huh.
that any stuff that comes in, if you want it as a lead, and they say, hey, yeah, we want to sell, you should be able to hit a button and send that through Zapier to Podio, and then
Okay.
Batch Driven will get Zapier integration, I think, in a week. So you could send it
Okay.
there as well. But if that works for you, calling people, do it. But right now in RES Simple, you can pull up, you can select leads you want to call or text, and it opens it up on a whole page, and it'll have the call and text button next to each phone number. And so you
Oh,
can call them,
okay.
and if they don't pick up, you then hit a text, and it sends them a text. Hey, sorry I missed you. I was calling about this property. Um, yeah, have you considered selling it? That kind of thing. And it will fill in their name, and it'll put their phone number in there as through the text.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
But
It
that's
sounds
something to
like a
think
lot
about.
of different.
Yes,
Pardon me?
like different pay structures for your team, whether they're in-house or virtual or not. Uh,
Yeah, none of them will be in-house. Like I'm working from home and they're all going to be working from home also.
yeah. Do you have any relatives that are doing it? Like, is anybody related to you? Like,
No
oh,
family members. Yeah, yeah. These are people that I've worked with in the past. Like I come from a sales background, so Betsy,
yeah,
she was like the telemarketing manager, so she was over all of the telemarketers, but she's also great on the phone. And I think that she's ready to kind of jump ship from where she's at and kind of do her own things. So I think she'd be perfect for this and could really bring a lot of business in. I'd be shocked if she failed at this.
yeah.
So I feel optimistic about her. And then Kim, the other one, she worked as an admin when I was representing this other national guru speaker on tax sales, and she was their admin. So she left them recently, and she wants to help as well. So between the three of us, I think we all have a lot of experience
Mhm.
and should be able to pull it all together. It's just kind of getting all these different tools working together
Yeah,
cohesively.
yeah,
For me is what the challenge is right now, and it's a little overwhelming, all these different ones. um but I'm going to try like a little bit by bit, one by one, and add on to them. But I was wondering, when you do start doing the training now, like you said, you're going to do the batch driven training versus the course has, I think, Podio training in it now.
yeah.
So I'm wondering, are you going to just update the current course, or is this going to be another course that you're going to create and sell, or how is that going to work?
I don't know. So I'll see if I'll talk with Stacy and see if I can update it, and maybe I'll
Uh-huh.
just do a webinar. So what we did, um, I think it was the first month, January, had some bad sound in it.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, that was the one I was on at the beginning. I was wondering, I'm like, how come they didn't edit that out?
yeah,
Like
so we
that
had to
was
re-record
a
the
little
whole
odd.
thing.
Y-
And what we did was
Well,
we
you
put
could
it
just
out
like
as a
chop off
free.
the beginning of it, like the first 5-7 minutes of it. You could just edit off, and you wouldn't have lost anything, I think. But anyway,
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I could
because
easily.
the rest of it was fine once you got going, but it was like you were having some technical issues just to start
Well,
off.
the first time there was no sound, or there was
Uh-huh.
very little sound coming from me for some reason, and the people that were there when we recorded it live could hear it perfectly. But
Oh.
I had to re-record that. We put that out as like a free webinar, so there were people on there uh,
Hmm.
that were just on there for free, and then we added that to it. So I'll ask her if we can do that. If I can just re-record, I think February,
Right, the
just do it
Podio one.
batch driven instead
Uh-huh.
of Podio, and teach people how to use that, and then we can probably upload that. If not, I'll just do a webinar of batch driven and just put it out there for free. Uh,
Oh, well, that would be great.
yeah,
I don't mind paying something for it, but yeah, I don't want to get in too deep into Podio. If you're recommending batch driven now as the way to go with REI
yeah,
Simple, I'd
yeah,
rather try and keep it simple as I can, and especially with new people coming on, and I don't want to get them overwhelmed either. So
yeah.
yeah, so I
That's
was really curious what to pay them. So
yeah,
that's very helpful. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah. I just switched over to REI Simple at March, like right uh, before the pandemic happened. So uh,
Uh-huh.
that was a big switch over to that, and now I'm switching to batch driven. But in order for me to
Okay.
switch, there's got to be. It can't just be the same as the CRM I'm using. It's got to be better uh,
Right.
than the old one. So yeah, definitely switched over was not to batch driven was not a light decision that I made.
Okay. All right. So, but you're going to wait to before getting rid of REI Simple, you're going to wait until batch driven adds the calling, is what
Yeah,
you're
I gotta
saying.
have that calling because my cold callers, that's where most of the deals come from, and the sellers that pick up, because the majority of sellers are like 65 and older, and that demographic
Right.
loves talking on the phone, and
Right.
some of them don't do uh, text.
Texting.
But in
Mhm.
batch driven, I can't see it now, but or I'm having trouble skip tracing. But before, I had a property in there, and I skip traced it, and it actually had it labeled which ones were smartphones, mobile phones, and then it actually
Oh,
labeled some as landlines. So you could tell
oh,
which ones
cool.
you could text and which ones you couldn't.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And prop stream, I was looking at that one as well, but that's not one of your favorites then?
Well, it was, because the big thing with PropStream is you have a list in here, and then you pay an extra, I think, $30, and you
Mhm.
get active list updating. So if you have a list and all of a sudden one of those properties becomes listed, you can have it removed from the list. Or if a new property becomes
Hmm.
vacant and it meets the requirements for the list, it gets added to the list. Uh,
Okay.
and then of course you have the equity filter and the map. But I'm going to get rid of that, because now you can do all of that within batch driven.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
O-
Yes.
Okay.
Really do all of it in one. Um, it's just it. Yeah. If I made my own CRM, it would probably be just like batch driven.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay. Great,
Okay.
great, great. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. And I, I'm going to talk to Stacy and see about, because I've made the curriculum sort of for like new people, but I'm going to ask her, maybe put the word out and see, are people looking for how to set up their team, how to pay people, how to hire people, how to train them.
Yeah, I think
Just some,
so. That would be a great, free, or even if I had to pay for it, it would be worth it because, I'm just kind of trying to wing it right now and figure it all out kind of as I go and kind of model, what other wholesalers are doing, you being one of the main ones, of course, because I've got your course. But I don't know if that was in there yet. And from what you're saying, it's not. So it definitely would be worthwhile for me, to get that module number if you want to skip 13 and go straight to 14.
yeah, yeah,
um, um, I would be very happy to get that. That would be very valuable for me because I mean, if you're gonna do it, you may as well try and do it big. Why not?
yeah.
Instead of trying to do it all myself. I know I won't. It won't happen. It'll burn. I'll get burnt out.
Hmm.
So I want help.
I know
And
a lot of
yeah,
people like that, and they love it. And I'm like, man, you just bought yourself another job. Like,
yeah. I
stick
don't. I'm
to
trying
one
to get
cash
rid of the
buyer
jobs.
with everything else the same, and just come on, dude. Can't.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the closing coordinator, like right now with all those deals that I've been doing, I am the closing coordinator. I'm the everything, basically. I've been doing everything, and it's a job. And yeah, the money is really good. So I'm not complaining about that, and I'm happy to have it, especially now when so many people are out of work. But I want to be able to enjoy that lifestyle that I'm creating, but with this income. And I can't do that if I've got to be babysitting and doing everything myself.
Yeah,
It's too much,
yeah.
and if I want to grow it and scale the business and go to add maybe 10 more states, then there's just not enough time in a day to do it all, so I have to know how to bring people on and what's fair to pay them, and so that they'll be happy, and keep working hard and all that. So
Yeah, you got to move
so
out.
that would be really valuable, even if you break down like each of the positions, what their roles are and how much you pay them, or what kind of experience they need to have, or whatever you think
Yeah,
is
exactly.
would be awesome. Interview questions, things to ask them when you're like you were talking about doing the Zoom onboarding, when you're doing
Yeah,
a Zoom with these people. Like, what do you ask them? What's a good question? What do you need to know that tells you? When I used to manage a sales team, what I found was they usually told me whatever it was they thought I wanted to hear versus telling me the truth. And I wouldn't find out until after they were hired. So they were just blowing smoke up my, what.
man, you
I'm
have
not
no
trying
idea.
to do that again.
I've gotten virtual assistants, and I'll ask them like, "What do you like to do for fun?" And it's to see if they're telling me the truth. And most of the time, I end up getting, "I love spreadsheets. Work with spreadsheets." Like, come on. you know, like just be real. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I understand. And
exactly.
I think the big thing is another thing I need to go over in that training is like you're taking all the hats and doing all of the different parts of your business. When is
Hmm.
the right point for you to move out of take that hat off and put somebody else into that position? Because a lot of the time I see people where they've got like a whole big setup and they've got people working for them, but
Hmm.
hired too many people all at once and it
Hmm.
ends up
Hmm.
falling apart. And you know, most of the time they end up getting a job and going back to work.
No,
So pulling
that's not
out of
going
the
to
ranks
happen.
and when to replace
Yeah,
yourself and hire the people is another thing I'm going to cover.
yeah, yeah. That sounds good. I think I'm ready though.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
already.
let you know
I'm tired. Huh?
when I put it out.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right. I think nobody else seems to have any questions. I don't think. Uh, so I guess we'll end it here. And y'all have my contact info. And I'll see y'all in January. Have a awesome Christmas. What else? Kwanzaa, Boxing Day, anything you celebrate. New Year's Eve. What?
Same to you, Mike.
Oh, Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. And I'll see y'all next year.
Thank you.
Thanks. See ya.
All right, bye.